There are over 100 different types of beer, over 70 different ales, and 20+ different lager styles. Then there are now a few hybrid styles to keep beer drinkers of all kinds on their toes. Even seasoned beer aficionados can't always agree on which beer fits in what category. This isn't surprising, as it's not always straightforward. There are numerous classifications, categories, and subcategories. At the International Brewing Awards, the industry's leading award ceremony, there are 9 broad beer categories and 33 subclasses, to which the best beers are given a medal. Different types of beer styles. Types of beer vary in color, flavor, and aroma. Different varieties of beer are known as beer styles. Learning about beer styles could open your eyes and your taste buds to a literal world of beer. Very broadly speaking, there are 2 main types of beer, lager, and ale. Interestingly, both are brewed from the same main beer ingredients, but both of these types can be subdivided many times over, particularly the ale category. Does it sound a bit of a minefield? Even more so when you add cask versus keg into the mix. However, things don't have to be too complicated. It's actually a great opportunity to get together at a local pub to discover and appreciate beer. Historically, Britain's favorite drink, but that's a whole other article. Lager beer derives from Lagern, the German word for storage, which hints at the brewing method. Lagers ferment more slowly and at colder temperatures than ales. Although there is such thing as top and bottom fermenting yeast, fermentation for both styles takes place throughout the body of the beer. We store both lagers and ales at very cold temperatures just above freezing in the brewery, but lagers are stored for longer. Those are technicalities, of course, but for the drinker, it's all about the taste. Lager tends to be a light, refreshing, and balanced drink, neither too bitter nor too sweet. Most are pale in color with a white head and are carbonated. The vast majority are also vegan-friendly beers. Holt's lagers include Diamond Premium Lager, Crystal Gold, and Crystal Lager. Other types of lager, with thanks to our friends at Camera, include Pilsner in Czech or German styles. Pilsners can vary from light in malt to a more malty scent and taste. They tend to range from medium to high bitterness. Vienna lagers, usually crisp and clean with a malty character and some bitterness for balance. Marzen, slightly deeper in color, lightly hopped with a balance of sweetness and bitterness. Dark lagers, often with flavors like chocolate and coffee and some sweet maltiness. As the name suggests, they are dark in color. Alts, Dunkels, Schwarzbier, and Bocks are also dark lagers. Kolsch, not strictly a lager but often classified as such. Top fermented or a mix of cold and warm fermentation. Alish are brewed where the yeast generally acts from the top down, although fermentation will take place throughout the whole body of the beer. This, with the addition of hops, gives them the distinctive, full-bodied flavor which tends to be more bitter than lagers. There are many different kinds of ale, most of which can then be further subclassified. Bitter. Bitters are split into session bitters and premium bitters. Session bitters tend to have an ABV of less than 4.4% and are generally in the amber to dark brown range of the color spectrum. Characterized by a malty taste and scent with noticeable hops, richly flavored and sometimes with very subtle, earthy, fruity, or floral notes. Despite the name, the bitterness can be quite subtle or strong. Premium bitters, sometimes called best bitters, are 4.4 to 6.4% ABV. They have a medium to high malt flavor with distinct hops. Camera says a premium bitter can be earthy, spicy, and peppery, but may also be floral, piney, or citrus. Fruit should not dominate. Holt's Bitter is an iconic pint, a Manchester original with malty notes, punchy hops, and a silky smooth finish. Alternatively, try the medal-winning 1849 Champion Ale, a dark, tempting best bitter delivering an earthy, malty aroma with a slightly nutty, toasted taste. Pale, blonde, and golden ale types. This diverse subcategory features such delights as British and New World Pale Ales, Blonde, Golden Ales, IPAs, American Pale Ales, and more. These beer types tend to have minimal malt character and can be more fruity and floral. Hop content can range from traditional English and German hops through to more citrusy New World hops. Golden ales, such as Two Hoots, can have a marked fruity, often citrusy notes, and can be on the bitter side due to the hop content. With blonde ales, like our Chorlton Pale Ale, you will also get fruity and zesty notes. This certainly isn't true for all blonde beer, though. It can be hard to define the exact taste biography of a golden, pale, or blonde ale. There are many different variations out there with unique flavor profiles. That's part of the magic of beer. Although rudimentary, the main way you can tell the styles apart is through their color. IPA is short for India Pale Ale and has seen a recent surge in popularity over the last decade. Rumor has it that India Pale Ale got its name in colonial times, as India's climate didn't work for brewing beer. Allegedly, British sailors created a hop-heavy beer, with the hops as a preservative so it could cope with the long journey. Mild. Milds are lower in strength, usually less than 4% ABV and delicately hopped. They are usually malty, often sweet with a touch of bitterness and dark in appearance, though light milds also exist. Mild originally meant a young ale, as opposed to an aged ale. Since the 1960s, they have been declining in popularity, but are currently experiencing a rise in prominence, thanks in part to the advent of microbreweries and long-standing breweries such as ours who have never stopped brewing mild. Joseph Holt's Mild is rich and malty, a typically northern, unassuming, and unpretentious pint. The ABV's low, but flavor and tradition are high. Dark ale. Dark ales can encompass an array of beer styles including porters and even barley wines. Black IPA. Dark ale has been aged for longer. The longer a beer ages, the stronger it is, and the more the flavors develop. Dark ales were originally brewed in the 18th century, and are again becoming popular. A type of dark ale, porter, dates from the early 18th century. It's named after London porters who needed strength and nourishment from these rich, dark beers. These are usually medium-bodied and malty, offset by hops. There's quite a crossover between dark ales and stouts. Stout. Stout originated back at the beginning of the 18th century and stemmed out of porter. Contrary to popular belief, stouts are made from ale malt, alongside a quantity of roasted malt or barley, hops, water, and yeast. There are a few different types of stout, such as dry stout and milk stout. You can read more about stout in our guide here. In 2020, we introduced our own Trailblazer Stout, which has quickly become a fan favorite. Well, there you have it. A brief, and by no means exhaustive, guide to the very many different beer types and styles. In fact, each category could probably warrant a guide all to itself. Even then, there would be beers that defy definition, and beers that blur the lines.